Okay, so this is the second video in regards to significant figures. In this video, we're going to be converting from scientific notation into standard notation. Before converting any number into the desired format, always note how many sig figs your given number has so that you can know how many sig figs your final answer should have. The final answer must have the same number of sig figs as the starting number had. And if you don't understand this concept, you will understand it at the end of the video. Okay, so we have 5.4 times 10 to the third power. The positive exponent tells you that you will have a large number. 10 to the power of 3 means 10 times 10 times 10, which equals 1,000. So basically what you are saying is 5.4 times 1,000 equals 5,400. Keep in mind the exponent is positive, so you will be moving the decimal to the right side. And every time you move the decimal to the right side, you are basically multiplying by 10. So 5.4 times 10 times 10 times 10 equals 5,400. So in order for us to know how to move the decimal, we have to look at the power. This is 10 to the power of 3. So this right here is showing you to move your decimal 3 times to the right side. If it was negative, then we would be moving the decimal to the left side 3 times. So here we go. We're moving it to the right side 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. And here where you see the waves, you're going to add zeros, which is the ones that I have here. And over here where you have the arrow, depending how many sig figs you started out with, is going to depend whether you're going to add a zero here or not. Notice that we started with 2 sig figs. So therefore, this final number needs to have 2 sig figs. So I'm not going to add a decimal in there. I'm just going to leave it like that. If I did add a decimal, that means I would have 4 sig figs and not 2 sig figs. Feel free to watch the first video in regards to what counts as significant figures. Okay, here's our next number. Okay, so again, the exponent is telling us how many times we should move the decimal. And it's telling us to move it 2 times to the right side. So here we go, 1 and 2. So I'm going to add a 0. Notice that this 0 right here counts as a trailing 0, but it doesn't have a decimal, so it doesn't count as a significant figure. So this right here is going to be our answer because we only have 2 sig figs, just like this right here. Pretty much the only difference between this and this is that this is called scientific notation and this is called standard notation. Okay, here's our next numbers where you can feel free to pause the video if you need to. Okay, so 10 to the power 4, the 4 is telling us to move the decimal 4 times to the right. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We add our zeros where you see the waves. And then here in the arrow, you are either going to have the decimal or you will either have a decimal or you will not have a decimal at all. So we only have 3 sig figs, so my answer needs to have 3 sig figs as well. So I'm not going to add no decimal. So this is my final answer right here. Our exponent is telling us to move the decimal 2 times to the right, 1 and 2. and then I will add a decimal here. So this is my final answer. Okay, now we have 9.982 times 10 to the 7th power. The 7 is telling me to move the decimal 7 times to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then I'm going to add zeros where I see my waves. And I'm not going to have no decimal in here because I started out with 4 Sig Figs. So therefore, in my last number, I need to have 4 Sig Figs. Remember that trailing zeros with no decimals, trailing zero with no decimal, correction on that, do not count as significant figures. So therefore, this number only has 4 Sig Figs. Okay, here's our next number. Okay, so we're moving it a total of 9 times to the right side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Therefore, this is going to be my answer. And feel free to subscribe to this video